HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. A Townsville media station.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and I run back to the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. It's a Thursday morning, and we're live and local on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial, simulcasting on Facebook on Martin Houston Live, Tide 109, as well as on X's and O's Sports. Got a beautiful show lined up for you, ready to get things going. As X will be joining us. Before we get into that conversation, want to remind you that this is a day that the Lord has made. Encourage you to go out and rejoice and be glad in it, and take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Want to get things going. Got a lot that we can talk about, but before I toss it over to X, want to wish a belated happy birthday to my coach, Coach Gene Stallings, still at it at 87 years old. Happy birthday, Coach, and wishing you nothing but the best and many, many more. Also, want to, it's amazing, want to honor Miss Foster as she had a building named in her honor, the education building this past weekend and past this on yesterday. A world changer, life changer for so many, many people, and wanted to honor her as well, and honor her life and legacy. So that those are non-sports related things, but definitely related to our great university. And speaking of our great university, we got a lot of things we can get to. We can talk about basketball. We can talk about softball, gymnastics meet tonight. We can talk about spring practice just around the corner, getting things going. But before I toss it to you, Xavier, I would like to get your opinion on this as well, Joe. Is baseball like their own worst enemy? They're already the hardest sport. It's like they need to do so much to draw people to them. But once again, I have not covered the story. I've been looking at it, watching it, but finally they made a decision a little over 24 hours ago that they would delay opening day. Are they shooting themselves in the foot as far as drawing people back to that sport?
I think they are, especially when you look at here in America. Young athletes, they have so many options and things like that. When it comes from having football as an option, having basketball as an option, and other sports, soccer, whatever, track, and it makes it hard when you already know that the path to the major leagues is harder than any other sport, in my opinion, because you have to get drafted, you have to go through the minor leagues, and then you have to make the team. And they control so much of your young career. It'll make a guy that might be equally talented in both, in basketball and football, choose football or choose basketball, things of that nature.
Joe, you got any comments on it?
I mean, absolutely, they're shooting themselves. It's not a good recipe for success. Not playing any games. You've got to put your product on television for people to enjoy it on television and in stadiums. But yeah, look at guys like Kyler Murray, Xavier. They opted for play football instead of baseball. You know, you could have made more money in baseball because the guaranteed money's higher, but he just opts to play football probably because of the visibility and all the endorsements that go along with that.
Yeah, you think about baseball. Would you say their biggest day in biggest days is opening day and the playoff pennant race in the World Series, and everything in between is just kind of like whatever. And I mean, and to your point, X, with the increase in the popularity, they already were having a struggle going against some of the top sports, but as soccer picks up and other sports pick up, um, in America, it's going to make it even harder for it to be a game that is viewed positively. Um, and baseball to me has become the new golf, meaning that a lot of the kids who are playing it and good at it are the kids who have the money and the means to play travel ball. And so a lot of the good athletes that were playing baseball, if their parents can't afford travel ball, or have the jobs or means to be able to be off and go on weekend trips and all that stuff, they're not playing it anyway. And now you do things to lose that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. X, I'm gonna toss it to you, but before I do, Curtis Lewis, I did not get to watch the basketball game last night, but this may be the quote of the 2022 season. Our basketball makes me throw up a little in my mouth. If you can relate to that, say amen. Amen. I mean, I like I said, I did not get to watch the game last night. We had a church service last night, and what an awesome night we had. But I got in the car just in time to catch the guys breaking it down, Chris Stewart and team breaking it down. And then, of course, you go back and try to catch a few highlights, and then I read up on it, and it didn't make me feel any better reading the story. So, Curtis, I can relate to that. Hey, if you want to talk with X and I about it, give us a call at 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business.
Yeah, speaking of the basketball game last night, it was once again a tale of two halves, and I know I'm only on this show a couple of times a week right now. So, and how many times have I mentioned, hey, if Bama can play two solid halves of basketball, this is one of the best teams in the country. And last night we saw it again. Alabama goes into the half up 40-57, and in the second half is outscored by 19 points. Only going to put up 31 points in the second half. And it's frustrating as a fan to watch. It's frustrating as someone trying to cover. Just like, hey, this team has all this talent, but they can't put it together for 40 minutes on a consistent basis. So it can be.
Yeah, I mean, I literally was like getting my hopes up, and I'm gonna have to stop X. I mean, I'm just gonna have to say, okay, it is what it is. I keep thinking they got it, man. We're ready. We're gonna make a run, and then this happens. And so 50 points in the second half, and your identity as a team is supposed to be defense. Yeah, I, I just looked at some of the numbers once again. Now, if you look at this, you may be like, okay, Bama should have won.
Yeah.
Shackelford 16, Quinterly 14, Keon Ellis 13, Bediako 8. The problem is Shackelford had 12 in the first half. Bediako had 6 in the first half. And then they went cold, silent, dark, whatever. Forgot to come out of the locker room for the second game in a row. This game was no different than South Carolina. The difference were in the South Carolina game, we were up.
Yeah. And we played better defense in the South Carolina game. And like you said, you go look at the box score. It's not a terrible shooting night. Bediako 4 for 5, Quinterly 5 for 11, JD Davidson 3 for 7. That's not Rojas 3 for 4. When you look at those, you're like, what's going on? But then you just have to look at how Bama played defense, and if that's supposed to be your bread and butter, you can't go out after having a lead giving up 50 points.
Eggs, I have to give Mason Woods a shout out as well. Mason Woods has been serving as producer with the Martin Hughes Show the past couple of weeks, as he and Joe were doing double duty. But his the title of his article at Tide109.com is Death, Taxes, and Turnovers. Tide drops a home finale at Texas A&M. And that's about all you need to say with this team. This team, once again, free throws. Wow, Texas A&M was 93.3%. Alabama, 73.3%. Not totally bad, but I got out rebounded and had 19 turnovers. And you know, it was, I think, a 13-2 run on the offensive rebounds, and then I think 20 something points, 28 points off of those turnovers. 28
Yeah, you're not going to win like that. You're not going to win turning the ball over, and it's not just turning the ball over. It's kind of like how football works in the same as you can turn the ball over, but if your defense is good enough, you're not going to give up points on it. But when you 19-28, that's way too many turnovers and way too many points off of it.
Yeah, so when you take 13 second chance points and 28 points off of the turnovers, you're now looking at what that's 41 points. And you can't give up 41 points on turnovers and second chance and have any chance of winning. And it's frustrating for me, X, because we're going into what I thought was going to be a nice little stretch run, and looked like we were on our way. But we just like I said, this team they'll pull on your
Highs
heart.
and lows.
Yeah, they'll pull on
Highs
your
and lows.
heartstring like nobody's business. Before we get out of here in this second, and coming back on the second quarter, can this team rebound? NATO's still talking about motivating this team. Is there any hope that this team can be anything other than what we've seen this year?
This team is 30 games into the season. 30. You shouldn't be having to motivate a team 30 games into the season to go out and perform. Now, can this team still make a run? Of course they can. They definitely have the talent to do it. But if you're having to motivate them to come out and play at this point, you're beating a dead horse.
Yeah, and Curtis Lewis said this team needs divine intervention. So yeah, and that's like I said, we're you now. I'm at the point now where I have to laugh about it because I can't. I'm not gonna get. I'm almost to the point where I'm gonna support, but I'm not getting vested, man. I'm just if we I hadn't made that decision. I said almost. So if they get on a run and I jump on the bandwagon, guys, I didn't get off the bandwagon. I was just on the back seat with my right leg hanging off. I'll be with Nate Oates without a doubt. But this team, man, has been I guess we keep saying this team needs consistency. Unfortunately, this team, 30 games in, has made inconsistency their consistency. I mean, Jamie McGee pointing out they let A&M shoot almost 44% from the 3-point line while they shot 33%. And like I said, the problem is that they came out in the second half and just laid an egg and
Flat.
and just got outscored. They had 2 or 3 runs where A&M got double-digit runs and they only had a couple points. That happened, I think, 3 times in the first 10 minutes of the second half, where A&M went on an 8-0 run, like a 12-4 run or whatever. It was like double-digit run to minor runs, and they just kept pulling away. And then even down the stretch, they outscored Alabama by 3 when Alabama did finally start getting some consistency, but they were so far behind that A&M still pulled away. Coming back on the other side, we'll continue the conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show. We want to thank the great folks over at Alabama One for all that they do to support the Martin Houston Show. They're going to be taking a bigger role in the program coming up in a few weeks. So excited about the partnership with Alabama One. In the meantime, I want to encourage you to go check them out at alabama1.org. Stop by one of our branch locations, and they'll be glad to serve you. Or, hey, if you're one of those that want to do everything online, hey, we're set up to handle that as well. You can take that phone and make your smartphone your local branch. Do everything you need to do right there on our mobile app. That's Alabama One, alabama1.org.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks. Traffic moving pretty well on this Thursday morning with no significant delays. If you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. It's March, and that means March Madness deals at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. You'll save thousands. I'm Captain Ray.
Discover thousands of dollars in new tax credits with Jackson Hewitt. Get a head start on your taxes. Schedule an appointment with one of our tax pros and learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
My caretaker was very rough with me. I thought they did it because I wasn't moving fast enough.
Elder abuse is a crime, and together we can stop it. If you or someone you know has been abused, neglected, or exploited, call the Adult Abuse Hotline at 1-800-458-7214. That's 1-800-458-7214. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Department of Justice, ADECA grant number 18VA-VS050, the ABA, and this station.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
Jam, rock, and roll at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casinos and win your share of $75,000 this March. Every Friday and Saturday, we're giving away $1,100 in bonus bet every hour from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. Then at 11 p.m., 2 lucky winners will each receive $2,500 cash. Only at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casinos, Pearl River Resort Properties.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Amazingly nice weather continues today with a sunny sky. Tuscaloosa's high at 79. Clear tonight, the low at 45. Tomorrow, sunny with a high at 80. And for the weekend, partly sunny Saturday and Sunday. Highs will stay very close to 80 degrees. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 39 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomore Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at Sophomore softmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904. Or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Martin, you guys are back to 2-1.
Welcome back to the Houston Show. Alabama Crimson Tide, and we'll be moving to the Combine. Some big news out of the Combine. John Mechie, third, and Jameson Williams are ahead of schedule. Those knee injuries aren't looking like it's going to hold them out from their rookie seasons, even though as late as it was. It just kind of shows you how medicine has improved over the years. From when I was playing, it was a potential year plus long injury, and Dad, when you were playing, it was more of a potential career ender for some people.
Yeah, back in the day, if you had a knee injury, it was not a guarantee that you were going to be back. And even when these guys come back, they usually come back as good or better. When guys would come back, sometimes back when I played, they would lose a step or lose some flexibility or mobility, and they definitely were not in a position this early in the treatment that they were making decisions on what could happen. So,
I mean, you got to think they said Jameson had his surgery 6 weeks ago. He has been without crutches for 3 weeks and a brace for 2. So, 4 weeks after surgery, essentially a month, he's out here walking around like he was. And that's just insane, as we were saying. And talking about the Combine, you have guys like Evan Neal not performing this week. Who do you believe out of this group of guys that are performing or able to perform is going to make the biggest adjustment for improvement for the draft?
I have not looked at the overall list of who is going to be able to perform. But just thinking through the list, I think the guy who I would say has a chance if he passes medical to help himself tremendously is a LeBron Ray. I think LeBron Ray Combine, because it's already been out there. Hey, this guy's injury prone. This guy's injury prone. So if he could go up there and perhaps get a clearance on the medical, and he doesn't have to get clearance from everybody. You know what I mean? He
takes one thing.
in his case, it's probably a positive that every team looks at you. Because if not, his reputation may stick with all the other teams if it was just one doctor looking at it. For a lot of these guys, having to go to every team is not good because I don't trust the medical people at Combine. FYI, I think that they sometimes teams have a guy that they like and they see something that they can harp on and they kind of camp out on it. But back to your question, I think it'll be good for him. I also think Slade Bolden is not from a standpoint of a guy who's going to shoot up the draft boards, but I think he will get enough teams interested that he's going to lock himself into probably a 6th, 7th, 8th round solid pick. And they're already talking about him reconnecting with Mac Jones, the Wes Welker, Edelman type of receiver. So those two guys will benefit. Then other guys, I guess, is kind of a kind of a potential wash. Mathis could benefit as well, but that would be the guys I would say has the biggest chance of helping themselves.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a guy that can move up the draft board is going to be a Brian Robinson. If he can get out there, and he doesn't have to be a blazer. He doesn't have to run a 4.4. But, if he comes in with his physical build and his physical style, if he runs in the low 4.6s to mid 4.5s. I really think that'll move him up because people do question his long speed. And let's be real, there's not a lot of running backs in the NFL today breaking off 60, 70-yard touchdown runs. But if he can just show, and it was maybe more the short yardage, quickness, the cone drills and things like that will be really beneficial to him. And then speaking of a guy that has had a injury history, I'm going to go with Chris Allen. This was a guy that had the opportunity to come in and was probably would have been a third-round pick last year, fourth round pick if he left. Came back to raise that stock, his first game, but he's had a complete season to heal essentially. So I think he can go out, pass with the medical doctors and everything, and has a good performance out on the field. You can still see him end up in that third, fourth round. Right.
Yeah, and Curtis Lewis asked, "Is Bolton is Slay Bolton the only Bama player healthy at combine?" Just about. And then of course he did ask. I had one of those COVID moments. There is only 7 rounds. When I came out the year they transitioned from 12 rounds down to 8, and then of course it's been 7 for quite a while. But every once in a while, my COVID brain, I just blame it on COVID brain, drops back 30 years. But yeah, it's only 7 rounds. So I think Slade will be one of those guys that he'll lock in a pretty good, just because a guy goes in the 7th round doesn't mean that guy doesn't have as just as good a chance as making the team. They just put value on him as a league. And I think as a league, he's probably a 6th, 7th round guy. Unless, of course, he could go up there to the combine, have unbelievable hands, and I'm not saying this because he's a white wide receiver, but what Cooper Kupp showed this year is that if you have a guy who's dedicated to route running, dedicated to his craft, and works hard, and he's a guy who a quarterback knows is going to run his routes correctly and has hands like nobody's business, then you don't have to be the fastest guy per se. And I don't know how fast Cooper Kupp is, but
he was a 4.65.
yeah, I mean I knew he was not a blazer, but man, he executes so well. And then of course, what was the old man name from Clemson that's with the Raiders? Renfro. Those two guys show that if you get in the red zone, you can't cover them. I mean, they're crafty, they're creative, they're good in short spaces. So who knows? Bolden could get up there and show better than expected speed, great hands, great route running. He could interview well, and all of a sudden we could see why maybe when you looked at talent, why some of the guys Xavier couldn't get him off the field. Because if you just look at talent, there you would have thought there was guys that would get him off the field this past year, and they just couldn't.
No, without a doubt. When you look at Slade, he's not flashy. He's not pretty, but he ran great routes. He had really good hands. So I don't see why, like you said, 6th, 7th round might be able to sneak up into the 5th round, just depending on what teams want. And he adds special team value, whether it's covering kicks, return kicks. He brings more to a team than just being a wide receiver. And that's what you look for in these late rounds. You look for guys that can add to your team multiple ways.
And that's why I say he's probably a lock for one of those late rounds, and could only help himself. And what he does is he makes himself a premium by getting more teams interested in him. They already, like I said, before he ever gets up there, they're talking about the Patriots, but he could get a whole bunch of teams interested in him, because he is one of those guys that can cover 3-4 slots, as far as what you need to be a successful NFL team. Ask Green Bay what'll happen if you don't have good special teams. You can be the best team in the league and forget about special teams and watch the Super Bowl at home. Hey, let's get the break here.
They got rid of JK. That was their problem.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah. But hey, guys, we need to get the break here. Coming back on the other side, we'll bring in Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks. Traffic moving pretty well on this Thursday morning with no significant delays. If you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. It's March, and that means March Madness deals at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. You'll save thousands. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Did you know not washing your hands after using the bathroom can increase the spread of hepatitis A? Washing your hands with soap and water, as well as getting vaccinated, is the best way to protect yourself if you are at risk of getting hepatitis A. One dose of the hepatitis A vaccine provides long-lasting protection in up to 95% of those who receive it. For more information on the hepatitis A outbreak in our state, visit alabamapublichealth.gov/IMM. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Public Health, the ABA, and this station.
TrackBone wants to know, are you an influencer? A big live streamer? No? Then guess what? You don't need an endless data plan. Get just the right amount of data with TrackBone's $40 unlimited talk and text smartphone plan. Now with 8 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited carryover on America's largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. Get the data you need at the price you want. TrackBone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. 5G compatible device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at trackbone.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. As we enter the third quarter, we will be joined by Hank South for 7 Sports and Bama Online. How you doing this morning, Hank?
Hey, I'm good, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm going to go ahead and fire it off with the hot question that I've been seeing going around. Vegas has said that Alabama is the favorite for Arch Manning, as well as other recruiting sites. What can you give us?
Yeah, I'm not gonna, sit here and say I don't think that's the case. I think Bama has a very good shot at them at Arch Manning. I'm not ready to make the pick myself, but I think if you're making the talking about the schools involved, Bama's right there. But I still think there's kind of a long way to go. He's still going to take some spring visits. There's still a lot of recruiting to be done. I know some people are going based off the On3 site, the RPM, their recruiting prediction machine, has Bama as the favorite. And then I think Georgia's right behind, and then Ole Miss and LSU, Clemson are on there too. So, there's a bunch of teams still involved. Like I said, he's going to take the spring visit. But he's been to Bama twice. Nick Saban's been very active in recruiting him. Bill O'Brien, Pete Golding, they've been very active in recruiting him. And I think he sees, a solid opportunity at Alabama. So, I think Bama has a very good shot at him. I'm not making the projection yet, but, I could see why people think that Bama's the favorite.
Yeah, Hank, I look at it and say, I think Arch want to see his competition too. I think if he comes to Alabama this spring and he sees Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson and goes, think I can handle them boys, that only helps Bama. So as Bama fans, I guess the question, Hank, is are we pulling for Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe to look really good in the spring while Arch is here, or we kind of hope they're okay during the spring because it only helps Bama in the recruiting of Archman. That's always a fun part of the recruiting process.
Yeah, and obviously you want to pull for your guys. You want Ty and Jalen to light it up. You want them to be, solid backups to Bryce this year. And obviously, you don't want a kid that's going to come in and, be shy of, afraid of the competition, even if that they're looking really good in spring ball. So, I think you want your guys you have to be ready.
That's right.
To good, and hope you're getting the guys that want that. They want the the competition in front of them to better themselves.
Yeah, real quick, and I toss back to you, X. I one of my big questions is not the starting quarterback, but to me, one of the biggest questions in the spring that Alabama has to answer is that backup quarterback. Last year we kept saying, "Hey, is Bear Bryant's grandson," and blah 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 blah. But you did have some confidence potential in him doing it because you just kind of felt like he may be able to do it because he was older. Now, boy, we're a drop off from a contender to a pretender potentially with these two new guys.
Yeah, Jalen has Jalen Milroe obviously has been in the program, so it's not true freshmen getting thrown into the fire if something were to happen. Ty Simpson's obviously going to have spring under his belt as an early enrollee, so you'll have guys with experience with the talent galore. So you just got to hope they they're ready to go if they're called upon. This fall if something were to happen to Bryce Young, hopefully that's not the case. But the talent's there. You just got to wonder, what's that experience level? How is that going to impact things?
Yeah, Hank, we've got a caller, Pat, in for you. He's got a couple questions for you.
Good morning, Hank. One of the things, are we going to get a can't miss offensive tackle? And the other question is, a kid by the name of Fletcher out of Plantation, Florida. Coach Saban likes these really big backs that can get you 2 or 3 yards where you got to have it in a short yardage situation. And this Fletcher kid seems to fit the bill. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's Mark Fletcher, the 4-star running back out of American Heritage, which is obviously a Bama-friendly program. That we saw. We've seen Surtain come out of there, or Little come out of there. Bama's recruited that program really well. Pat Surtain actually took his job with the Dolphins, so they don't have the connection there with the head coach. But Bama still, with Traverse Robinson and Robert Gillespie, they're going to recruit South Florida really well going forward. But yeah, Mark Fletcher is 6'1", 225. The crystal ball is on Miami right now, but it's very low confidence. We've seen that Bama's way before, where someone might be projected at Miami and ends up at Alabama. So Bama's in the mix there for sure. And then as far as your question on offensive tackles, I think they're going to have a very good shot. You look at the number one offensive tackle in the country, Caden Proctor. He lives in Iowa, but he's very fond of Alabama. He camped last summer. He's been in contact with the coaching staff, with the new offensive line coach Eric Wolfer, with Nick Saban. He got the Bama offer early on in his recruitment, so they've been after him for a while, and he's taking notice. So he's probably gonna, he doesn't have any visits set for the spring, but I think Bama will get one of his official visits in the fall, and I think they're going to be right there in the conversation for him in the end. And then beyond him, they're in the mix for a lot of really talented offensive tackles, Peyton Kirkland. Local guys like Will Formby, Miles McVay out of East St. Louis, Illinois. So they're going to get some good guys. They signed 3 in the 2022 class. They're in the mix for a grad transfer as well. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it's an important year for offensive line. They're going to get some good ones.
Okay. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show.
Thank you.
I'm Xavier Houston. We're talking with Hank South of 247 Sports and Bama Online Recruiting. Pat, thank you for your call. Hank, when we're looking at this quarterback situation, of course, with the 2023 class, Arch Manning is the guy everybody wants, especially Bama fans included. And then you have the Nico kid out of California. Once again, I'm not going to try to butcher his last name. Well, he's been crystal ball to Oregon. So after those 2 guys, who is Alabama looking at to be that next guy up? Especially with the fact that a lot of recruiting classes are built off of the quarterback. And if Arch takes a long time to commit, does Alabama really start to look in a different direction?
So, I don't think they're rushing Arch Manning. I think he's going to have a spot. And I think it's going to be a year that, we could maybe see Bama take 2 quarterbacks. Because, you look at they take one after Bryce Young, assuming he goes to the draft next spring. That's going to leave them with, plus the 2023 quarterback, that's going to leave them with 3 scholarship quarterbacks. So, I could see Bama certainly trying to possibly bring in 2 quarterbacks this cycle. So, I don't think Arch is going to be in a situation where, you need to make a decision now or we're going to move on. But, beyond him, beyond Nico out of California, 2 guys, that could certainly end up in Bama's class. There's other quarterbacks they've been recruiting pretty hard. Eli Holstein, he's actually committed to Texas A&M. Excuse me. He's committed to Texas A&M right now, but he's still been showing a lot of interest in Alabama. He visited back for the LSU game in November, and I believe he's supposed to be back at some point this month for an unofficial visit. So that's one we're watching, a flip watch guy. Another one, he's a 4-star quarterback out of the state of Georgia, Dylan Lonergan. He's a guy that Bama, he camped last summer, threw pretty well, and has been in contact with Bama. I think he was in for the LSU game as well. He was in for a game throughout the fall. He's supposed to be back on April 2nd. So he's a guy that's been in the mix with the staff. He's actually a Penn State legacy. His dad played for the Nittany Lions. Georgia's been recruiting him. Penn State's been recruiting him. Bama's been recruiting him. So he's another one we're keeping an eye on. And then obviously you got the local guy, Christopher Vizina, out of Briarwood Christian in Birmingham. Bama hasn't offered him yet, but he's a guy that still on the radar. But 24/7 Sports actually just ranked him in the top 60 overall in the country. So a very highly rated kid. But he's been in contact with Alabama. He's been talking to Freddie Rhodes, the Birmingham area recruiter. He's supposed to visit at some point this month as well. He just doesn't have that offer yet. He has about just every other offer, but he has not yet received an Alabama offer. So that'll be one we're watching as well when it comes to the quarterback position.
Hank, you just hit that there's the big time kid from Briarwood. Since you've been doing this, is this the strongest Alabama, state of Alabama recruiting class that you've seen, and what position grouping is the strongest of this group?
Yeah, there's no question. I feel like even still, like every day, there's more and more guys that feel popping up that are in the mix. I was at the Under Armour camp in Atlanta last weekend, and it was, even it was 2023 kids, it was 2024 kids, 2025, all from the state of Alabama that were just really, really impressive. So, you look at the position groups, defensive class is up there for sure. Defensive line obviously starts with guys like James Smith, Peter Woods, Kelby Collins. I think that's the spot or the position group that's the strongest this cycle. Just behind that, probably the quarterback spot, Tony Mitchell, Jaleel Hurley, AJ Harris. And then you kind of move on to the edge rusher linebacker spot with Quay Rousseau, Keldrick Falk, Yonze Pierre. So those defensive side of the ball is certainly the strongest, but I would probably rank it defensive line, quarterback, edge rusher, linebacker, and then beyond that, there's this offensive lineman we just talked about, Wilkin Formby out of Tuscaloosa. Bama's recruiting Raquazi McElderry, the Georgia offensive line commit out of Anniston. There's a Bama legacy at Thompson High School, Stan Ramil. He hasn't received a Bama offer yet, but he's blowing up on the recruiting scene, getting SEC offers left and right. 3-star offensive tackle that keep rising. He's been in contact with Bama. So another offensive lineman right there. Like we just talked about, Christopher Christina, quarterback, and so on. So, there's a lot of, talented guys in the state. So it's definitely one where Bama could sign a good chunk of its class at home.
Let me ask you a question before we let you go, Hank. Of course, you mentioned Formby, who I had the opportunity to help coach, and he legacy from the granddad side at Bama. But as a kid, it's just intriguing to me. I know Bama, I don't think really is on him, but Ethan Crawford, where do you guys see him and in terms of ranking? And it seems that at one point there was a lot of SEC interest. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a guy that could really kind of, see his stock rise this summer when he goes to camps and all that. Actually, he was at the Under Armour camp too this weekend in Atlanta. I thought, he's a really impressive kid. I think, he's got a lot to offer. Obviously, the size might be a little bit of a question there. Can he stay at that quarterback position? Would he move around? Obviously, we've seen the quarterback position, the size not be as big of a question mark in recent cycles, but we've got him ranked the number 44 quarterback in the country, 767 overall on that 24/7 Sports composite. But he's got SEC, ACC offers. Kentucky's after him, Tennessee's after him. Maryland, Georgia Tech. So the interest is there. I think he's an impressive prospect that could offer a team a lot. Maybe as an athlete, Bama's. I think he's been talking to Bama a little bit, and I'm not sure if it's much quarterback or kind of where that stands, but definitely an intriguing prospect and one I could see this spring and summer really helping kind of boost his stock.
Absolutely. X, I'll toss it back to you, see if you have any closing comments or thoughts.
Yeah, just one more question. Talking about another local kid who is transferring to Hillcrest High School, Sawyer Dearman. What is your opinion on him and where he will play in college? Because he's been a wide receiver, he's been a running back, quarterback, all over the place.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just an athlete where schools are looking at him, and Bama's interested in him. He camped last summer. He was back for junior day in January. So, like Crawford, a guy that has a lot of SEC interest. Ole Miss, Tennessee recruiting him. He's got, I'm looking at his offer list, almost a dozen offers. So, plenty of interest there. Probably more, I think, wide receiver if you're looking at Alabama's interest. But again, they haven't offered him yet. They could be, one of those situations where, they like him as an athlete, kind of like like Manuel Henderson, where, he's rated as running back, but a guy that can kind of move around all over on offense. So that's kind of where I would project him.
All right. Hey, that's Hank, South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Hank, tell our listeners real quick where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, BamaOnline.com. My Twitter handle is @HankSouth247.
All right, @HankSouth247. Thanks, Hank. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, coming back on the other side, we'll have the Alabama One Insurance 2-minute warning.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Traffic beginning to pick up on this Thursday morning. We see some congestion on Skyland at 69, and we also see some on 43 at Mid-Larry. If you see other conditions, please give me a call. It's March, and that means March Madness deals at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. Go see them. You'll save thousands. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. New CDC directives are out as the number of COVID-19 cases shrink locally, statewide, and across the nation. Among the major changes, they shortened the recommended time for isolation for the public. Alabama has recorded just over 2,100 new cases over the last 7 days, 48 of those cases in Tuscaloosa County. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. Ron Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curve series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Carving, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Carving at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Carving, LLC.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacing batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Townsquare comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
My caretaker was very rough with me. I thought they did it because I wasn't moving fast enough.
Elder abuse is a crime, and together we can stop it. If you or someone you know has been abused, neglected, or exploited, call the Adult Abuse Hotline at 1-800-458-7214. That's 1-800-458-7214. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Department of Justice, ADECA grant number 18 VA VS 050, the ABA, and this station.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's the Alabama One Insurance 2-minute warning. Alabama One Insurance. All your insurance needs can be handled in one place. Your one source for all your insurance needs. We'll review your policies. We'll reduce your premium, and you can relax knowing you're properly covered. So review, reduce, relax with Alabama One Insurance, alabama1insurance.com. All right, just got a couple minutes before we get out of here for today. But we'll go ahead and start a little bit of that spring ball conversation. X, I know we talked a little bit, and your biggest thing right now is which position has the most to prove in the spring? Who you got?
I've got to go with the offensive line, the tackle position, because that's the question. That's the position for the first time in a long time at Alabama. Nobody knows for sure who the next guy up is. And of course, there's talks of grad transfers and things like that. But if we don't get one, it has to be one of the guys that we have on the team. And we're replacing both of them for the first time.
Yeah. And you know, and unlike times before, you like you said, there is no apparent heir apparent. We kept thinking at some point last year Latham would take over that right tackle position, and then he would be positioned to move to, you know, potentially left tackle when it happened. I mean, I'm still of the mindset that Dalcourt's going to be the left guard, Cohen's going to be left tackle, Ekiyor is going to be the guard, and Latham is going to be right tackle, and McLaughlin is going to hold down the center position. I don't know that. I know that, but you know, if you ask me, that's my 5 day one. Unless Brockemeyer, who a lot of people had a lot of hope for, is able to work himself in there. Damian George may have lost some weight. I think he's going to have to get a little faster with his feet if he's going to be the man.
No, I mean, that's not a bad offensive line if those guys can gel and mesh. But also potentially, you kicking Cohen out, you have Latham at that guard and Brockemeyer at the tackle. Or it may be Brockemeyer at that guard spot with Latham at tackle.
Yep, that's not a bad mix. I just think Dalcourt had his moments this year, and he kind of had some of that old school nasty in him. He just couldn't command that center position. So maybe if you take the snapping responsibility off of him, I think he becomes a guy that can help the team. I could be totally wrong in that, but we'll watch it and see. That's Xavier Houston with X's and O's Sports. He joins me every Wednesday and Thursday. I'm Martin Houston. This is the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, chatters, viewers, and guests for being a part of it. Thanks to Joe for pressing all the right buttons and his input. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide, and we'll catch you on tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.
Have a good one.
Streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.